Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Tuesday Tea Time. I am in the beautiful, snowy Pacific Northwest right now. We had an unexpected snowstorm yesterday, and so as you can see, the horses have messed up the arena a bit behind me, but it's still pretty beautiful. And the pasture out there is still pretty white. So I am with Ram and with Ari and Atlas in the background. And they're all taking a bit of a nap. And I am in the process of trying to integrate Ari and Atlas to living together. And I don't even know if this is possible. As two full-grown stallions that have fought and hurt each other badly, I don't know. I don't know if they can live together. I know they can be together when I'm here with them. And so we're playing with the idea of herd integration. As you see, Ari is choosing to stand here with Ram, and Atlas is choosing to stand a little farther away. What I'm going to do today is I'm going to let them out in the pasture that we can't usually use this time of year because it's too wet. But the nice thing is when it's covered in snow, we can go ahead and use the space. So I'm going to turn my camera around and so you can see them. And you know, this fence panel here that's all bent, this is what happens to fences when you put them between two stallions on a regular basis, is they get a bit broken. I really don't know ultimately how successful my herd integration will be. But I do know that it's really interesting to play with. And so we're going to open up the pasture. And Ram's going to take us out for a walk. Hi, Rachel. I'm glad you can join us. And Ari's going to go with him. And we're going to watch them explore a little bit. I think Atlas will join here in a moment. If not, I'll go get him. And you can see that I've put some piles of hay underneath the holly tree so they can go ahead and have some meals together if they would like, or they might just explore, I don't know. Yeah, Christian, Atlas really has so much more relaxation than he used to have. I agree. Everything he responds to much better than he did before. So it's highly possible that he can be integrated in with the other horses more so than I ever expected. So I'm going to go ahead and put my tea down for a moment. We're going to go ahead and go get Atlas. I'm not sure Atlas knows he's invited yet. Hey, buddy. What do you think? You want to come out? Come on. That's my boy. Come on out. Sometimes Atlas needs a more direct invitation than the others. Hi. Good job. Come join. Yeah, come on out. So I'm going to go ahead and pick up my tea, and we're going to watch how the horses interact, because it's interesting. But if I have to move abruptly, it just means that I had to take my flag out of my pocket. Now, the gate is open there for them to go back to all of their normal hay troughs and their water and their sheds. They don't have to be out in the pasture here. And it's kind of interesting that Atlas is being a little bit more exploratory before he comes over to the hay. Hi, Jenny. Thanks for sending me some warmth from Australia. Yeah, Sandra, it is really lovely. Atlas is responding better and better to the things he's familiar with. And interaction with me is one of the things he's very comfortable and familiar with. So as he comes over, you can see Ari getting a little bit overwhelmed. And Ari has to claim all the hay piles. But there's another one on this side. So we're going to see how Atlas responds to that. And what's interesting is he chooses to just go somewhere else. And that's what I find about Atlas, is he does not want a fight. He really just wants to get along, but unfortunately he gets overwhelmed by Ari's confrontational nature, and he can't help but fight back. And when he fights back, it's quite harsh. So when I set up hay like this around a tree, they have this protected contact of the tree between them. And I find that that's a way that they can share food. And I'm right here with my flag. So if a fight breaks out, I can go ahead and take my flag out and push them around a little bit until they settle. What I find is yielding lowers stress for everyone. Now, obviously, I've done a lot of practice teaching yielding while they were one-on-one with me and they were not about to have a fight. This is not the first time I've asked anybody to yield. But I am here and I'm ready to move them if they feel uncomfortable, if they feel overwhelmed. Because overwhelmed can lead to a fight. And with these two, I really just don't want them to hurt each other again. I think Atlas is going to go ahead and take a roll in the snow. It's a pretty good feeling. We don't get snow here very often, so when we do, they really enjoy it. It's a little slippery underneath that snow, so it's a little hard to get up and down. And when I spend time with them, I do often make sure that there is food for them to work around, even though it raises stress. Atlas is being really interested in a thistle coming up out of the snow. That's fun. I wonder if he's going to eat it. Nope, it pricked his nose. That was shocking. So, yeah, I do think Ram does a lot of inviting. Ram really likes to invite everybody to join the party. I think you're right, Christian. And I think Atlas will join the party here in a few minutes, but he just needs to give Ari some space for a little while because he doesn't want to fight. And he really doesn't want to be pushed by me either. And so he's going to choose to just do a little bit of distance work. And this is one of the things we do in freedom-based training is we value being in harmony from a distance. And that's what you see Atlas doing here, is that he is being in harmony with the other horses from a distance. It is fun, Sandra, I agree. You know, Atlas is showing interest in the environment. He is watching out for danger. In some ways, he's being really useful to the other two because of the way he's watching the environment. And what that does is it earns him a lot of credit so that when he joins them again, hopefully they really value his company because of that time that he took going out to be investigative around the property. Now I'm just moving over here a little bit so that Atlas feels like I am part of this herd too. So as he came in for a walk, I came in for a walk. So if I place myself between Ari and Atlas and invite Atlas, that will go really well, Christian. And I do that sometimes. The goal is that I shouldn't have to be here all the time. So if they can do it without my interference, then it gets a lot safer. If they're always dependent on me being between them, then it's a lot more difficult. I love it. Atlas is going to find some grass down underneath the snow. In some ways, he seems a lot more creative than Ram and Ari, who just settled into the hay. But part of that is because of the pressure he feels. Atlas is not a fighter. He does not want to fight. He wants to get along with everybody. He just overreacts. When he feels pressure, he can get quite dangerous because he doesn't really know how to regulate himself. And that's why I'm here. I'm here to help them work through this. And if they can do it without my help, it's better for everybody. It doesn't mean I'm not going to help sometimes, because I certainly enjoy that. But here we see, you know, the tree doing its job. We've got the holly tree between Atlas and Ari, and they have this little feeling of protected contact. They can be near each other, but they have an object between each other that also helps them feel secure. But I'm going to go ahead and walk around the tree so that if they get overwhelmed and if a fight breaks out, I am in the right place at the right time to interrupt it. I don't think it is. I think they're going to do just fine. But just to be on the safe side, I'm going to sit up here on the hill. And that way, I've got my flag in my pocket if I need it. Rom's going to come say hi. And I want to remind you guys, they have hay 24/7 in feeders next to the barn. They are not that hungry. This happens to be new hay that I just put out for the benefit of tea time so that we could watch their herd interactions. Yes, Rom does make some room for the horses all the time. The nice thing about Rom is he's busy. Rom is a really good support in the herd because he never stays in one place for very long. So he's got a lot of natural movement, which comes across as yield, which really helps everybody settle. But you can see here, even though Rom is eating grass through the snow, he's in a really nice mirroring flow with Ari while Ari eats hay. Exactly, Rebecca. Seeing that the work that we've put in and the suggestions we've made through, being a good example, the horses start to copy and they start to show yielding and thinking and playing and not fight, flight, or freeze. I'm certainly here to help so that nobody gets hurt just because I know that Atlas has a tendency to overreact. This is the first time I've dealt with this. For the most part, I've always had enough space, and I've had mares and geldings who worked things out. This is my first time really having a stallion that needed a little more support so that nobody got injured. And I'm not going to keep them together full time anytime soon, but playing these games of herd integration, I find is really interesting. One of the biggest things we do as horse trainers is try and predict the future. If you know something is going to get better, just sit back, stay out of the way, let it happen. That's how horses feel the most confidence and the most development emotionally, is when you just let things happen and they get better. If you think that things are about to get worse, it's time to intervene. It's time to change your position. It's time to change your movement. It's time to change something so that you can nudge it back in a good direction. If you sit there and you do nothing and things get worse, you lose trust. The horses don't trust you to know what's going to happen next. They don't trust you to make good decisions. So as horse trainers, we are always trying to predict, is this going to get better? Or is this going to get worse? And if it's going to get better, just sit back and let it get better. If it's going to get worse, the sooner you take action, the more effective you can be. And, what's interesting with these two is that I've been surprised a number of times where I didn't realize it was going to get worse until it got a lot worse. I'm feeling a lot more confident. We have a couple of years together now where I've made a lot of mistakes. Rom's still digging for grass. He thinks the grass is much better than the hay. And, but you learn by doing. You're not going to get it right 100% of the time. And, that's one of the reasons most people don't suggest keeping multiple stallions together. The learning curve gets pretty steep if you get it wrong. But in all situations with horses, we want to watch and think, what's the likelihood here? And as I watch these guys, I think we are on an improving trend. Kristen says, when would you start here to play with different positions and distances? All the time, Christian. I'm being a little bit more still, honestly, because I'm talking to you guys. I'm afraid if I move around too much, I might lose my internet connection. So mostly I'm being very passive and sitting still. If I was not talking to you guys, I would move around to different positions, and I would hold a position for as long as I felt like there was more thinking, more engagement happening. And then I would move positions at the best feeling I thought was likely. So, just to give you guys an idea of what that looks like, right here they're both eating, but then their ears start to move a little bit for Atlas. Head comes up, head goes down, head comes up again, ears move, he's interested out in the distance. And as his head comes down to the hay, I'm going to move to my new place. And that's kind of what it would look like if I wasn't worried about moving around too much. Yeah, you guys are part of my herd for tea time today. So it's not very eventful, This is what I hope herd integration should look like. This quiet, this calm. No big deal. I know it would be more interesting if there was a fight I had to break up, but honestly, if there was a fight I had to break up, it would mean that I hadn't done my work beforehand well enough. And what I'm really learning is if I can individually get Atlas's stress low enough, and Ari's stress low enough, and Ram's stress low enough, and then play with integrating them, it should be this boring. It should be this peaceful. Now, I'm still going to be smart. Like, I used the tree here as a buffer so that Atlas and Ari could eat and feel like they were a little bit protected from each other. It's not that they can't go around the tree, but if they feel safer, they are less likely to overreact. Yeah, so exactly, Christian. The better we prepare, the less of a highlight the event should be. It should just be peaceful. Ari's going to go explore a little bit. You know what? Atlas happened to come into the pasture last, but I don't think it matters. If you set it up right, whoever wants to come first can come first, and whoever wants to come last can come last. If the stress is higher, then yes, you would probably want to bring the most stressed horse into the place first and let them settle and get organized before you added the others. But hopefully I've done my homework well enough that I don't have to prepare that way. Ram's going to think about taking a roll in the snow, but it's kind of slippery where he is. Thank you, Kristen. It is lovely how Atlas responds to my invitations now. We've got a little pawing flow here. Both Ram and Ari think that's fun. And Ari's going to eat a little bit of grass through the snow. And, I am paying attention that just to my right, Atlas is eating hay. And so at some point, with no tree between them, he could get really overwhelmed by Ari approaching. So this is something that I'm really watching and I'm paying attention. Is this likely to get better, or is this likely to get worse? Those little posturing moments where he pins his ears and tosses his head at Ram, I know Ram can handle that. That's not likely to escalate. Here, Ari came to the hay pile that is closer to Atlas, so we have a little less of a buffer between them, and I think that's going to be okay. I'm watching Atlas's ears are still moving. He's still interested. He's mostly focused away from Ari, like he's planning his exit. So if he gets overwhelmed by Ari, he's planning where he's going to go next, and that's perfectly reasonable. So these are the kinds of things when I'm playing with herd interaction that I look for. And, if you guys have horses that don't get along, think about that idea of protected contact. Is there a tree or a fence or some way that they could enjoy each other's company without feeling unsafe? Hi, Florentine. I'm glad you're here. Christian says, Rom leading Ari away. I guess he might be that smart to watch for relaxation for everyone. Yes, Christian, I would also say that Rom also gets bored very easily. So Rom generally invites everyone to take a walk on a regular basis. That's his nature, which is very helpful with these two stallions. So we can see Rom is on the other side of the tree, Atlas is on the right, Ari is on the left. And I'm right here so that if I see it's going to get worse, I could interrupt. And Rebecca says, I'm looking forward to seeing when Atlas can self-manage enough to let Ari teach him how confident he can be. I am looking forward to that too, Rebecca. But, you know, these things take the time they take. And for me, the fact that they can be in flow and harmony, eating this close together and be at peace about it it's a win. And we just have to keep putting this money in the bank as often as possible, hopefully without any fights that take all the money out of their relationship bank. And I think if we can keep putting enough in, frequently enough, that eventually they might be able to live together full time. But I'm not counting on that. I am going to be here as part of the herd for as long as they need me. And then we'll make sure and put a fence between them when I'm not around to help them get along. Because really it is that Atlas doesn't want to fight at all. And Ari just doesn't like how much Atlas freezes. So Ari tends to poke at Atlas too much, and then Atlas tends to overreact if he's poked too much. So the two of them have got to work that out if they can. I don't even know if they can. I'll just be really honest about that. But I think that's one of the things I like about freedom-based training is even if it's never going to change, playing with the theories and the ideas is really fun. It's a good time. Whether we ever get to the end goal, it actually doesn't matter because this is time that I enjoy spending with them. Thank you, Christian. I'm really glad you enjoy the herd time. You know, this is what I do. This is most of every day. And I can't always set up tea time to show you exactly what I do because it depends on having the internet close enough and the right location for my phone to work and the horses to work. But it's a good feeling. So as I see Ari working up on the left side of the tree, I don't feel like I have to be so much on guard between them. So I'm going to go ahead and change position around here to the front again. I love that Atlas changed his focus as I walked by. So I'm just going to stop and harmonize with that for a moment. Really lovely. Ears flick forward. And as he goes down to the hay, I'm going to pick my new place. So that's us at Sanctuary Lane, playing in the snow. Atlas and Ari and Rom eating hay around the holly tree. Seems pretty Christmassy and festive. So I'm going to end on that note and just spend some time with them. Thank you guys for joining me for tea time. It was really lovely to see you all virtually. And I hope you guys have a wonderful holiday. And I will see you next Tuesday. Let me know if there's any specific subjects you would like me to talk about. Goodbye. Have a wonderful, wonderful holiday wherever you are.